Cool. All right. Hey, everyone. This is Ash. Welcome back to the King's Speech. Apologize. I feel like I just about to have to sneeze for a second there. So we're finally back after somewhat lengthy hiatus with Battle Angel Alita Last Order with the Volume 3 Omnibus. Apologize if there's going to be a bit of glare just coming off the light and everything when I hold up pages to show to the camera. It's just going to bounce off it a little bit weird, so I'll try to hold it up as best I can, just so you can see the picture with as little glare as possible. I gotta say, I'm finally excited to kind of get back into this series again. I know a lot of you have been waiting for it, and I've heard good things about getting some Cerula backstory in this volume. So, without further ado, let us dive into Battle Angel Alita Last Order, Volume 3, with Chapter 38, I Am Yoko. Oh, yeah, so we pick up where we left off last time with Alita carrying the little package in her suit as she's facing off against the invisible enemy in the little chamber. Apologize up front if I start forgetting any names or any other details because it has been a while since I've read this last volume, so just putting that out there. So Alita asks the stranger, "Tell me, are you from Grunthal too?" Alita's like, "Shouldn't I be glad to see my former comrades? Why do I feel so disgusted?" And the mysterious guy laughs and goes, "Hey, hey, indeed I am. And as a fellow Kunstler, I will grant you the honor of seeing my face." And you see a thump as his mask falls off, and you see this monkey-looking guy who goes, "I am Sikrau Durab, aka the Raven, former Krieger of the Mauser School of Panzerkunst." Leah kind of recoils. She's like, "Ah!" It's like, "Yes, now I know you. You taught the Kamagrupa. You were Tizik the Brute." As you get a look at the guy with his face mask off, finally. And Tizik goes, "But Kamagrupa was the secret unit of the Mauser School. Then you must be..." And you see him thinking back to Alita when she was Yoko, and she goes, "Yes, I am Yoko. Gezira class Kammerfrau Yoko von der Reiseklinge." And oh! As he leaps up and crouches on a nearby box, he goes, "How can that be? If you are really her, just where have you been hanging around all this time?" And Alita goes, "I woke up on Earth 14 years ago. I've just begun to regain my memories of who I was. I've heard that Grunthal fell into ruin. And yet, you, tell me, are there any more of us still alive?" And he does a little flip as he goes, "As if. What good will it do you to know that now?" And you see, Kamagrupa is unlike the Panzerkunst combat troops. This group covertly performs assassinations, sabotage, and other dirty jobs in secret. Officially, they're an organization that trains the armory guards. And you see, Kammerfrau is literally chamber woman, the name given to the specially trained female members of the Kamagrupa. And you see Tizik going, "We each went our own way. I can tell you this much. If there were any other survivors, you'd be the last Frau in hell they'd welcome back, Yoko. If it weren't for you, Grunthal would still be around." Alita's like, "What do you mean?" And Tizik goes, "You've been useless since you were little. All you did was cling to Erica. Though you did become a bit useful thanks to my training. But I never would have given you such a vital mission. And then that buffoon Kaul Quappa gave you Operation Malwolf, the fate of the Mauser School in your hands." And Alita's like, "Operation Malwolf? Wasn't that to infiltrate the theories?" Hey, Arrow. And he goes, "Yeah, the Jovian Intel Bureau set it all up. The ultimate strike to take down Malachi at the Earth orbital ring." And you see Malwolf is German for mole. And you see Ping going, "No way. You must be joking. I thought it was just an old tale." And Jeff, "How interesting. How have the actions of the past affected her present self and the world?" And he's like, "That's right. I went inside just as I was told and used the cartridge in the console. No one said it was from Malachi. And Tizik goes, I don't know the details, but that cartridge contained a program that would cause Malachi to malfunction. A sort of electronic hallucinogen, you could say. And Ping's like, he can't be talking about Program Guinevere. And he goes, he did quite well. Made the 5 starships under construction on Lagrange points lose control. He's like, hey. And you see a giant explosion coming out from said starships. And you see Leviathan 3 turn to dust on the spot. Leviathan 2, 3, or 2, 4, and 5 blasted off towards Venus, where Leviathan 2 was caught by an asteroid missile. Leviathan 4 went off course and into the sun. And Leviathan 5 took a slingshot route around the sun and was never seen again. And you see author's note, due to the effective emergency measures taken by the crew, only Leviathan 1 escaped calamity. Yeah, Malachi had a full-on Gestalt breakdown and never. Communication with Jafaris was severed. This was one of the factors that later led to the birth of Ladder. I knew she wasn't ordinary, but you have Destiny going. So that's what's behind the Jafarian system. A flaw-worthy breakthrough. And Tizik goes, an estimated 400 million people died or went missing. An achievement to be proud of. And Alita's like, I didn't know. So that was the Camland tragedy? He goes, well, that's what it came to be called much later. Either way, you did a good job up until then. And you see Gestalt breakdown is a term found in Gestalt psychology that signifies the loss of uniformity or totality. To give an easy example, if you momentarily keep your attention on something that should be a familiar sight, such as text, it may then begin to appear as a mass of meaningless lines. This is an example of Gestalt breakdown. As it goes, but then you made a major blunder at the very end. And Alita's like, when I was defeated and captured alive after encountering Cerula. And Tizik goes, she was a free agent called the Blue Widow at the time. I don't know why she was out there, but it was by far the biggest mistake you ever made. You just had to face her down, didn't you, idiot? Someone like you didn't stand a chance against Cerula. And Alita's like, but my own... Hey, stop with the yapping, man. Arrow's being a little bit noisy today. Well, my only choice was to open a line of retreat. And Tizik gets mad as he goes, useless! Didn't I teach you the final technique for that exact situation? Oh, God, he does this creepy voice like, self-destruct! That's it! Alita's kind of just shocked by him and how casually he's saying that. As he goes, when the chips were down, you couldn't do it. Just useless. For the plan to succeed, the alliance between Erda and Venus had to fall apart. It would all be ruined if any traces of our handiwork remained. Your failure caused Jupiter to swiftly cut their ties. Operation Maulwurf was quickly labeled a Panzerkunst's terrorist attack, and the major powers united under ceasefire turned upon Panzerkunst as their common enemy. He goes, get it now? To Ladder, you are a major war criminal. But to Panzerkunst, you are the down Grunthal. Lily kind of falls to her knees in shock. She's like, no, this isn't what I wanted when I set my sights on the Panzerkunst. This isn't why I tried so hard. It's like, where did I go wrong? As you see tears kind of streaming down her face. And Tizik puts his mask back on as he goes, enough talk of the past. And he goes invisible again as he comes in and gives Alita a hook to the face and sends her flying. And he goes, it's a different age now. Alita's getting back up trying to fight. He goes, I'm Major Tizik of the High Order Squad under Trinidad's direct command. And you see Alita trying to lash out with her fist at him with the whiff. He's like, where are you aiming? And you see a fish. As she lashes out with the briefcase. And Ping goes, it's a ghost sound source. Don't let it confuse you. Alita's like, so just calm down. Go into stealth mode so you can fight on the same terms. And Ping's thinking to himself, as if that'll help. Excuse me. Hey, Iroh. She may have the tech, but she's hardly a master of it. So Alita's like, so I'm the one. As she puts her hand down, Tizik grabs a hold of it and goes, "It's not hide and seek if there are two it's." And he grabs her, flips over, and slams her into the ground with a woof. Oh, and you see a little switch breaking as Ping's like, "Damn, her stealth." And you see Tizik just wailing on her as he just starts just punching her repeatedly. You go, "Who sent you here this time? Tell me. Was it Venus, Jupiter, or..." And he kicks her and sends her flying to the edge. He goes, "No, you better not stay here and make up for a 200-year-old mistake. Wasn't killing 450,000 people enough for you?" It's like, hey, it's ironic, but now I'm a champion of justice. Hey, champion of justice protecting Malachi. So no suicide bombing on my watch. And you see Alita's been knocked unconscious, and she's like, ugh. And you see defendant PMD 433-4424. The Earth Orbital Military Tribunal hereby sentence you to atmospheric exposure. Ugh. God damn. So you see Alita back then when she was known as Yoko, and they've cut off her legs, and they basically bolted her into this system as they've cut off kind of both the legs and the arms. So Janet comments, "A shame I can't follow along now. I'll be sure to comment later. Really hyped you're doing more, Alita, though." Yeah. Thank you for commenting and dropping in, and yeah, definitely excited to be back into this again. Can't wait to finish off the rest of the series. And you see a whoosh as you see her being like flaming out like a meteorite as she enters the atmosphere. And you see a boom as you see her just striking in to the junkyard where she was later found by Ito as she was. So we finally get Alita's origins and how she ended up in the scrap heap. As we get to chapter 39, I Am Alita. And we go back to Ito going, "Got it. Starting today, your name is Alita." He's like, "Alita, huh? Sounds like a wildflower or something." It's like, "Well, I like it. Don't be like, well, I like it. Don't be mean." He's like, "It's a good name." And you see, oh God, every time I see Joskin, I just feel like tearing up. And he goes, "Here around us is the world, Alita." And you see, God, I can't remember his mates, but you all know who I'm talking about, the bounty hunter, Ozapan. As he goes, "Alita!" And you see Figure 4 and everyone else as they're calling out, "Alita, Alita, Alita." It's like, "Oh, Alita." And you see Alita. And you see her kind of in her subconscious mind as she's standing up and looking at her, the figure of Yoko, who's kind of slumped over on her knees, kind of sobbing. She's holding a hand to her face, and she's just crying. Oh, God. And you see Yoko going, no one has ever loved me. Gelda, Erica, they hated me. And you must hate me too. It was an awful crime, and now you think I should cease to exist." And you see Alita kind of bending down to her old self and going, "No, that isn't true. Gelda and Erica did love you." And Yoko's like, "You're lying to me. It's you who's been loved by so many. How could you ever understand my feelings?" Oh, chills. And you have Alita going, "But I do. For you see, I am you." And she kind of goes and gives her a hug and goes, "And no matter who may condemn you, I'll never let you go. If the whole world must be my enemy, I'll never give up on myself." Oh, absolute chills as she just stands back up. Oh boy, and you see Ping just going, "Alita, it's like, I'm our operator, gotta say something deep." And he's like, "Hey, don't sweat it." It's like, oh, how inspiring. Alita's like, "Strange. It's as if I've been asleep for 200 years. And Tizik's like, "Hey, so much fun to play with." He's like, "Hey, here I am." He's like, "Well, come on, well." And he starts dancing little circles around her as he's trying to tease her. And you see whack as he slams Alita alongside the head. And he stops in confusion. You see on the next page, she's grabbed him with her other arm. And she goes, "I am Yoko, and I am," as a fist goes up, and she just slams it into his face and says, "Alita." And you see his mask just gets completely obliterated. Even put a palm up to stop The impact stopped her fist. The impact just went straight through and smashed apart his mask. And he goes, "But a nullifier hurts a Aeon. How's this brat dealing such penetrating blows?" And you see a flap as he smacks her arm down and tries to do a flip away. And Alita goes, "Tizik, you ordered your subordinates to self-destruct while you lived on without a care in the world. You even stooped so low as to serve as Trinidad's dog. I will never forgive you. I'll smash you with my own hands." And Tizik lands on the end upside down as he grabs on. Goes, "Don't cut cocky, Miss Dimbald." And he puts a switch down as you see a wonk and you see whoosh. And I don't know if that's a spray of water or something, but a wave of something comes rushing towards them and knocks them both over the edge into free fall. And they both grab onto wires below. And Tizik goes, "You'll kill me? Is that your plan? For a mere Gazera, you sure are full of yourself." And Ping goes, "Alita, don't destroy the equipment around you trying to pull some flashy punch. If you do," she goes, "Yes, I know. Besides, that scum is no enemy of mine anymore." And Tizik's like, "I can kill you anytime I want. I'll show you." He snaps his fingers. And you see a wham as Alita's armor at her arm just gets blown off. With a click and it, so it can't be. Hurts a needle? But I didn't see. And Tizik goes, "You've got a few of the basics down, but there's still more to Panzerkunst than you know." Alita's like, "That smell. Some kind of explosive?" And he goes, "You got it," as he shows off these two little fingers of his. And he goes, "Kurz Bombekunst, one of the Mauser school weapon techniques." You see a little flip. It seems like he's got these little button things on his fingers. He goes, "A unidirectional adsorbent chameleon bomb the size of a booger. It may not pack much of a punch, but place it on a vital spot and it gets the job done. Proven useful for a wide range of tasks from torture to assassination." He goes, "Heh," as he flings himself off one of the wires towards Alita. And you see them exchanging a rapid flurry of blows, as Alita's blocking most of them. And as she puts up a leg to kick, he flips off back on one of the other wires again. And as he does, he snaps his fingers. You see bam, 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 bam. As at her elbows and a few other places along her arms, he set off some of the explosives. And he's like, "You can't even see it. I don't need to step in as far as a blow would require. All I need is the bare minimum distance to make contact with you. Easy as that." He was just snapping his fingers to illustrate his point. And he goes, "Your stumpy little limbs couldn't reach me in a million years." And Alita just starts laughing. Oh no, that's him laughing. He's like, "Yeah." And Alita just lets out a sigh. She goes, "If I knew I'd have to listen to toot your own horn, I would have struck with more force." And he's like, "Huh?" As he as he tries snapping his finger, his arm just falls off at the stump right here. And he's like, "What the hell?" And Alita's like, "When I had to parry all your blows, I had a split second to create a thinly focused plasma jet and make a small. I call it my plasma bison." And she kind of just separates her arms, and you see a little arc of electricity going between her fingers. He's like, "Why, you wily little... That isn't Panzerkunst." Alita hops up onto the same wire as him and goes, "Fool, when will you catch on? I'm no longer who I was 200 years ago." And Tizik's like, "I let my guard down, but you've yet to defeat my correspondent, and I can beat you with one hand." And he lashes out with his fingers. And as he does, Alita just kind of slides off to the side, and you see him jumping forward with too much momentum. And he's like, I lost my chi. Is this the Gemein's Einsatz rhythm?" And you see Alita just putting his arm down. It's like, "For Schlag? It's like hurts a needle? An Ubergemein's combo? I never taught such a high order technique in the Kamakruppe. Her power, it's..." And you see Alita just slamming him with a flurry of blows. Hopefully you all can see that properly. And he's just like, "On a level with the Meister class. No, it can't be true." As we get to chapter 40, a tadpole is a tadpole. We have a plang. See vibrations going along the wire. as Alita just slams into Tizik again. And she punches him straight in the midsection. The armor just explodes off his back. He's like, "How dare you! I'm the champion of justice!" She does another slam, and she reaches inside of him, grabs his spine, and she just goes, "Die!" As she just pulls it out. She does a little laser and just slices through it. And he's like, "Ah!" He's like, "You think taking both my hands and my spine will defeat me?" Oh. And you see him just popping out one of his eyes that starts shining with this light as a zish, and you see it just explode like a flashbang. Lita's like, "Ugh," as she looks away. And you can see that he's got her plasma arm knocked off to the side. And Ping's like, "Did you finish him?" And she's like, "No, he got away." And you see her, is that slicing him up? Okay, so she slices up what's left of his body. And she goes, "He's still a Koa Krieger no matter how vile he's become." Yes, you see his head managed to get away. And he's using like the wires and everything coming out of it to kind of move around. He goes, that was close. If it wasn't for my Weizen, he's like, "Ah." It's like, "But how did she learn Einsatz rhythm?" It's like, "That's a technique from the long dead Kossen school. There are records and books, but few were ever able to master it. Yoko's always ridiculed for being the tadpole who never grew legs. How did she..." And you see Weizen as individual techniques, tactics, or equipment derived from the characteristics or abilities of a Künstler. Being that these techniques are individualized, they cannot be codified or inherited as techniques belonging to a particular style of Panzerkunst. There was a tendency to consider Künstlers top-notch only after they developed a Weizen, regardless of the Künstler's official rank. And you have Tizik going, "Even if she's able to use it Ubergemeins, that tadpole still hasn't lost her tail. She's still sloppy. She won't get so lucky next time." And you see Tizik just freaking out as he imagines a vision of Agam bodies. He's looking down at him, looking down disdainfully down at him. And he's like, "Oh, but this isn't the time to worry about honor. I have to report to Trinidad." And you see Zist and a gag as the head just starts falling off the edge. And you see Ping going, "Hey, hey, hey, gotcha. I was waiting for you to open up a channel and call for help. Fried his circuit's good. Even if he were alive, he'd be out cold for days." He goes, "Alita, how are your eyes?" Sip some water. Alita's kind of just balancing herself against a wall. She goes, "Okay, I don't think my optics got fried. They'll be good in a bit. I'm worn out. Can I rest for a while?" And she kind of just leans back against the wall and closes her eyes. And Ping goes, "Yeah, too many unforeseen events. You've earned a nap. Meantime, we'll do some prep work." And you see Shah. And you see Zot's second round, Space Angels versus Starship Cult. Hey, Arrow, out of there. Don't go in there, little man. And you have a, "Huh? What was that yell? Who?" And you see, "Why didn't those three disappear into the clouds?" And you see a swing. As you see I cannot remember what the hell his name was, but the stereotypical snake charmer guy from the last chapter, you see him kind of just suspended in mid-air with his staff held like this. As you see some wires going through his nose, and we see a plop as he just gets sliced and diced and lands on the ground. And Elf and Wolf were like, "Huh? But we were just..." He up and died all by himself. He's like, "Hey, is this our first victory?" And you see 24 minutes and 30 seconds into the match, and it's over. What can explain this thrilling finish? Let's take a look at the replay. We see 5 minutes. Like Darbanga's rope should have been chasing them, but the two Alitas haven't budged an inch. 20, and now Darbanga has drawn his sword as he begins to sneak up on them. And you see, it looks like he got caught in the monomolecular trap delayed. How stupid! And you see the answer's going, "So, I guess that means he had us all under mass hypnosis. What an astounding feat of magic." It's like, well, the end was lame, though. And you see, what's this? The girls are gathering Darbanga's dismembered corpse? Will he come out in one piece? And you see them just throwing him back in his little basket, into his basket, putting him on the lid and be like, hocus, hocus. And you see, he's like, too much. He's like, no, the girls are just playing around. As one of them kicks it up and just throws it around. It's like, too bad. And you see a spoing and a ving and a zwud. Ugh, I hate clowns. As you see clowns and this freaky ass clown landing by. And he goes, I am Springfoot Jack, cannibal clown of the Starship Cult. And this is my lovely assistant, Lily. I've heard tell of your exploits many a time. I'm sure having serious battles one after the other must be tiresome. Better to have fun and enjoy life. And both Elf and Wolf are like, agreed! It's such spirit. I'm so thrilled. How about taking a break with a little game? And they're like, oh, yes! And he pulls out a pistol and starts, a revolver starts loading. He goes, the rules are a snap. It's a test of luck. He's going to basically make him play, what the hell is it, Russian roulette. As he twirls it, slows it back in, points it at Lily and pulls the trigger with a click, points it at himself, goes with a click, no bullets come out. And I don't know if this is Elf or Swolf, the lighter one, the lighter Alita with the lighter coat, grabs and goes, oh, me next, me. It's like, woohoo! And you see a blam as the bullet finally goes off and blows away half of Elf's head. And Zwolf's like, Elf! It's like, oh no, it seems that White Alita has just died in a game of Russian roulette. And you see Zwolf just go, she kneels down next to Elf's corpse. And you see a squee! And you see, the main unit, it's safe, thank God. And he's like, looks like that was Elf acting Alita's part. I see, even with no combat potential, it's strange that it's not against the rules to bring in an autonomous robot. That piece of fluff was her brain. This anymore. And Springheel jumps over and lands in front of her and kind of puts out his little finger on a spring to stop her. And now she does like, and she starts like bouncing side to side. And Springheel goes, or Springfoot, I guess, isn't it? Yeah, Springfoot goes, yes, so very easy for me to hypnotize. You'll make a perfect addition to our cult. As his finger pops back in. And you have a boof. Implosion fails. It's like, oh no. It's like, boss, here. It's like, don't come back for me. Like, you gotta do it. It's our last shot. If we fail now, we'll have to start all over. It's like, oh no, boss, I can't. Hey. I can't do this all by myself. I see blop, 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 and I can't. Hey, Iroh. Oh, the joys of having a puppy. Let me say, Iroh. As you see, Zex is still kind of inflating and growing. The mechanics we're working on was like, eek, a flesh tsunami. And Zex's like, hey, do something. It's like, at this rate, he'll burst. It's like, I've got to make it implode. It's like, oh God. God of craftsmen, God of screws, God of wheels, God of motors, God of ball bearings, God of gears, God of semiconductors, God of liquid crystals, God of cranks, God of bolts, God of turbines, God of plugs, God of polymers, God of lubricant, God of hydro wrenches, God of lathes, God of compressors, God of condensers, God of conduits, God of magnets, God of electric guitars, God of heavy metal, God of rock and roll. He's just praying to every deity out there as Zex comes up with a do it. And you see a giant implosion as he's trying to stop from being blown away. And you see a bam. Like, what was that? Explosion from the Space Angels platform. Has there been some kind of accident? Excuse me. You see a fish. Ooh, and a quick crack as Zex is back to his normal body again. Everything's coming together. You go, oh, I can feel the power bursting inside of me. Cool. You have success. The Super Visceroid body is complete. And you see Zex just running off going, your death won't be in vain, Gramps. And what's it? The little robot dude is like, Master Zex, your clothes. Mechanics, I'm not dead yet. He's like, boss. He's like, is that a solenoid quench gun, or are you just happy to see me? And yeah, chapter 41, the greatest moment of my life. I love this little like shark imagery behind Zex. It's just the best. As you have an excerpt from Molinev Menhir's diary, March 20th, ES 560, and you have the day it always dreaded had come. And you see asteroid series. You have everyone got their identity papers and allowance. And you see, Mommy, don't leave me. And you see now Molinev, you're all grown up. And you see and you see Chu saying going, pull yourself together. They say a man has 7 enemies as soon as he leaves home. So be brave and live strong. Today you are a graduate of the Stellar Nursery Society. Be well, all of you. And you see old bitch is like glad to get out of there. As you see Aleph Argento, 15, and you see Jimmy Pimiento. It's like my last name is Pimiento? Lame. And you see Daizaburo Sato, 15. He's like, Mom! And Molinev Menhir. And you see, ugh, as Aleph just comes in and smashes Daizaburo across the face. Goes, give me your money. You too die. It's like, Aleph, stop. And you see Zappa Terracotta, who goes, come on, knock it off, Aleph. And he's like, huh? And you see last name. SNS custom is to assign last names to unidentified orphans according to where they were found. Terracotta for they were found on a planet. Wait. Argento for moons, Pimiento for space colonies, and Menhir for asteroids. As a result, there are many instances of orphans with the same last name, despite having no blood relation. You have Aleph going, don't patronize me, you goody two-shoes. We're not on Ziget anymore. And Zappa goes, cretin, you act like you never did grow up. What will you do now? And Aleph's like, hey, don't have any idea. Maybe I'll be a pirate and lead a wild life. And Jimmy's like, oh, way cool. And you see Zappa go, fat brutes. Wait, Pyro. And you see Molinev going, what will you do, Zap? And Zap goes, I don't want anyone to look down on me just for being an SNS orphan. I'll work my way up until I get strong enough to change the world. And you see Dai going, boys, Zappa, wow. And you have Aleph and Zappa had what we never did. And you see Ziget is an asteroid in the location of SNS headquarters that can be found in the Hungarian region asteroid belt. See Last Order Omnibus Volume 2. And you see brains and brawn, looks, energy, focus, drive. We were nothing like them. Haven't seen them since that day, but I'm sure they became whatever they wanted to be. All men are created equal and children have limitless potential. Ha! What a damn big lie. Some are born to privilege while others are born with nothing. Di and I were in our late 20s when we had to resign ourselves to that reality. It was too late. Any hope of enthusiasm of living forever, of escaping these slums, any shot we once had was long, long gone. And you see September 4th, ES 575. And he goes, haven't felt like looking for work since Di died 2 weeks ago. Ugh. You see Di just crushed under like this gigantic arm. And you have Molinev going, they threw me out of my apartment yesterday. The best follow Master Tiana's rules if you want to live here. It's like, yeah, offer him 60% of what you find. Pull anything funny and you'll be sorry. So he goes to this little slum area. As he goes, the back alleys were the same, still bound by the law of the jungle. I did what they told me. To stay under the radar. And you see November 2nd, ES 577. I was dumpster diving as usual on Shank Street. And you see him getting hit with the psychic blast of, I am God. And he looks around surprised, like, who's that? Who's there? I didn't do anything wrong. He's like, I am the God absurd. God. Okay, fine. You don't have to yell in my ear. And you see him kind of just kneeling down. He's like, but God, I'm just a bum without a home. I'm a harmless, worthless, stuck in the gutter fatso. Are you sure I'm the man you want? And Absurda goes, "On you shall I bestow a sacrament." And he's like, "Eep!" He's like, "You got the wrong guy. Leave me alone, please." He's like, "Accept the sign and be my servant." And you see him just running away from this mysterious voice as he goes, "I just ran like hell. Next thing I knew, I wandered into the area called the Sink." Oh, this is this. Oh, God, is this Spring Boot? What's his face's origin story? You see, next thing I knew, I'd wandered into the area called the Sink. No one goes there unless they want to die young. And you see, as you see on the next page, you see the clown whose suit he's wearing right now, kind of clutching his side, his blood's dripping out, coming up to him. He's, and he kind of reaches out to him. He goes, "I don't know who that dying clown was, but I knew even then that God had sent him to awaken me. And so I peered into his dying eyes, and I received the sign." Second. And you see present day ES591 Zot round 2. He's like, "Is that? Yes, our old pal Zex is back." And you have Zex just grinning maniacally, walking back into the arena. And you see Zex inflicted the most damage in the gun troll match, but was also the most grievously injured. Looks like he's back in action. And Zex picks up the revolver from Elf's hand, examines and goes, "Ah, I knew it." And he points it at Springfoot with a chack. And he's like, "Yeep!" He's like, "Yipe!" And Zek's like, "What are you afraid of?" And with the whip, points it at his own head, goes, "Blam, blam, blam, blam," and just shoots off a bunch of shots. Now it's just like, "Oh no, will Zex follow in Elf's footsteps?" He's like, what the? Another round? There should have been only one shot in that gun." And you see Zex is just grinning, hasn't been affected by it at all. He goes, "Hey, come on, hollow points ain't gonna work." As you tink, 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 as the bullets just fall onto the ground. And you see hollow point is a bullet with a hollow tip, designed to expand upon entering a body to increase soft tissue damage. And Zex goes, "A game of luck, eh? You switch the gun when you hand it over." And you see Zex kind of flipping over the barrel, letting all the empty casings fall out. You see the gun was completely full. And then Springfoot goes, "Ho ho, you're sharp, aren't you? Well, how about a game of cards?" And he pulls out a table with a deck of cards on it. And Zex comes up and just axe kicks it right down the middle and smashes it. He goes, "What a letdown. After the gun trolls, I was looking forward to tougher opponents. Instead, I get this bunch of losers." And Zex goes, "Go home, clown boy. Bring out your captain." And you see Springfoot standing up as he goes, "Seems we've both been let down. If only you hadn't intruded. I could have been playing with the gun trolls now." And it's like Zex goes, "You couldn't even defeat their monkey." And Springfoot goes, "I don't need to," as he grabs the card and just kind of tosses it off. He goes, "All I wanted was for mommy to see her son all grown up." And Zex is like, "Mom? That monkey is your mother?" And he's like, "No way!" And Zex is like, "Oh, I get it. You used to be one of those gun troll brats, huh? You were no match for Sang before, but now you want a rematch, eh?" And you see Chibi Zex going, "The way he feels must be kind of like the way I feel about her," as he thinks of Alita. And Springfield's like, "No, not at all. The future is so bleak for kids. Who better to show them how ludicrous their goals are than me?" There's you boing as he just pops his arm and his head out on springs. Zex is like, "You're really pissing me off. We're nothing alike. I don't have time for this comedy routine." Grabs his sword and swings it down right on top of Springfoot's head. And he grabs his assistant and holds her overhead to block it. And Zek's like, "What in the?" And he goes, "Such is the mystery of the human body. Meet Lily, also known as the human sword." And you see Zex's slash blocked by Lily's flesh. This is amazing. You know, it probably works along the same line as the human bridge, a form of catalepsy seen in magic shows. But to endure a slash that exceeds flesh body's physical strength. And you see Lily going, "Sword. I am a sword sticking up out of an anvil." And you see Springfoot going, "Hey, like me, Lily is an SNS orphan. I wish I could have seen Mommy's face when I used this trick on Lily, but let's not get too serious. His mouth pops open, and he puts a little fake gun and splashes some kind of goop on Zex's face, and Zex just recoils. As does a gesture, and his wolf goes flying up. He goes, "Make me a human boomerang, girl." And you see a clawing as Wolf kind of just folds herself over. And Springfoot grabs her, just throws her like a boomerang. He goes, "Every data cloud has a titanium lining." And you see Zex blocking with the sword. It's like, "Damn it, how stupid of me. This is no time to be dumbstruck." And you see this wolf boomerang just going through and cutting through all the stone slabs around the arena. It's like, "Not magic, no. Form of hypnotic suggestion. Just like when I always tell myself I'm the best warrior in the universe. But," and you see a Kang as Zex flips around and kicks the boomerang out of the way. As he goes, "There wouldn't be any point if I lost sight of myself." You see Zilf has just been slammed into the ground. And you see the great Zex skillfully takes out this wolf boomerang. And Zex goes, "The old me would have killed her." But, dumb as she is my teammate. So I guess I've become soft. And you see Springfoot using his springing legs to jump up in the air as he goes, "Arise and face me. Behold a human slash." And Zex kind of starts fiddling with his sword and goes, "Guess I'll try it out." And he goes, "Form of a human flan." As he points at Lily, and Springfoot's like, "He can mimic my voice?" And you see Lily going, "Flan, I am Flan." And you see her suddenly just starting to get all soft. As like, "Lily, that wasn't me, no!" And you see a bloop. It just turns into goop and lands on Springfoot. And he's like, "No!" Zex goes, "That's what happens when we lose sight of ourselves." And he just launches himself towards him. And Springfoot's like, "Yes, yes, let's have a nice long laugh for death." And Zex is like, "You use others and make a joke out of it? You make me sick." And Zex just unfurls his sword with a thok and slices right through Springfoot. As he goes, "Yes, the greatest moment of my life." As you see a pop, and he just explodes into a shower of confetti with a sign going, "Congratulations." He goes, "Laugh, laugh, everyone, laugh." And you see an excerpt from Molinev Menhir's diary, November 2nd, ES 577. As he goes, "How I hated this cruel world. I cursed my mother for giving birth to me and then abandoning me. And I resented Chusang for taking me in and raising me. Yet I couldn't even cry out in anger. Silent, I let myself down. But mine was a resignation akin to conviction, the certainty that I was absolutely powerless. There, in the sink, that back alley hell of series, I peered into the eyes of a dying clown and found the truth. There is no meaning to this life. Our world is like a mad dancing clown. Those who have not drawn nearest to the truth, cursed are those who assign meaning to this life. Be mad, be wild. Spread your laughter as a curse. Laugh, laugh, I say." As we get to chapter 42, Pisses Me Off. And we see an excerpt from Molinev Menhir's diary, April 9th, ES 582. As he goes, "It's been 5 years since I took the name Springfoot Jack and formed our troop, known far and wide as the Phenomena. When our slaughter show grew famous, we got sponsors and moved on to other planets. And you see Luna Earth Orbital Union. As he goes, by God's revelation, I was told to visit Luna at night, and so we toured Guyot. Guyot crater is a medium-scale crater measuring 110 kilometers in diameter at 11 degrees north latitude, 117 degrees longitude. He goes, there I found a boy with a vacant look in his eyes. I took him. He didn't even know his name, so I called him Moonchild, or MC for short." And you see May 5th, ES 582, with an ikish. As he goes, I hypnotized the kids I picked up and put them through 7 tests. Lily and MC were the only 2 to survive. I had high hopes for them. Ugh. You see them having the kids like hanging from this bar, and you see a set of decapitated hands hanging from it. So I'm guessing he hung them up and told them you're supposed to be a sword, and he cut them with a sword, and if they were able to resist it, they passed his training. Ugh. You see, June 28th, ES 588. I made the decision to hold MC's debut in our July performances. It was then that I was blessed with my God's long-awaited revelation. Per his will, I named MC Wopon. It was your fashion, ha 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 ha! Revere me, exalt me, worship me, for God has been seated within me. And you see, wow! This wave of water comes storming in to kill the circus. And Sprinkler started going with an accent. Have you gone mad, MC? As you see him doing his whole Jesus act. And you see a fool. What the hell? And you see that as he's doing Springfoot's like skins is getting blasted away until only the skeletons left. And he goes, call me Wopon, Jack. The troop is a big success. Thank you. Now I'll do what I want, and you will do as I say too. And you see a huh? And a whoomp as he lands back, fully reformed again. And he goes, his hypnotic powers were beyond human knowledge. It was terrifying. Had my God Absurda chosen this boy as his medium? And he goes, from this day on, my troop will be called the Starship Cult. And you see, present day, what a bizarre match we've had, the second round of the Zot. And you see some musical notes coming out as you have, huh? What a lovely melody. It's from the Starship Cult quarters. And you see more than 100 females travel with the cult, ignoring the pleas of their families to return home. Many are daughters of high-ranking government officials. Are they singing a song of prayer, or is it a curse? Just what are the plans of the Starship Cult? And as Zex is waiting, the ground below him starts rumbling. And you see a wham! As you see this giant pyramid is bursting up out of the ground. And you have the giant pyramid just appeared in the middle of the arena. And Zex is grinning going, is this who I'm going to fight next? And you see all the women in the Starship Cult just coming down these rope strings and kind of lining themselves on these stairs and kind of doing the whole kind of dramatic entrance thing. As you see a tomb, there's a giant sarcophagus at the top. You're like, is that the last boss? And you see a jing as it gets blown apart, and you have, yes, it is I. And you see him just this absurd looking suit and cape. You have, it's the Lord Wopon. He's like, is that it? He's like, it's the master of disguise, the devil prince, the boy who mastered the mesmer style of illusion at a tender age, M. Wopon. This is his first public appearance since the Crystal Castle tragedy last year. He's like, wait, the judge just put the kibosh on the match. You see his little drone coming down with a stop sign. You have the mesmer style of illusion, a sect proclaiming to follow the teaching of Australian doctor and the father of hypnotism, Franz Anton Mesmer, 1734 to 1815, who advocated a theory of animal magnetism. Of course, this didn't really exist, and it did nothing more than give his audience the impression of prestige through his authority. And you see the TV screen going and warning him to order his female devotees to exit the arena. After all, the cult only has 2 valid combatant members left. And you see Wopon talking to them as he goes, you will be disqualified if you don't comply. And he goes, how rigid. Okay then, would you girls go on ahead of me? It's like, what the fuck, honestly. Yeah, yes, Lord Wopon, until we meet again in the new world. And they all pull out these curved daggers and just stab it into their throats straight up. And you're, oh no, it's a mass suicide right here in the arena. Wopon's like satisfied. He's like, and he's like, huh? As he looks down below. And you see, and see Zexa stop the last one by grabbing onto the blade so she can't plunge it in. And she's like, what's like, let go. And Zexa's like, no, I have to ask, why would you want to kill yourself? He's like, has Zex saved one of the women? Here we had him pegged for an amoral brute, but it appears he is capable of some compassion. And Wopon's like, Misha, everyone's left but you. and you see her just kind of shaking and stuttering and sweating. She's like, ah, ah. She's like, let me go, I've got to die, or I won't make it to the new world. And Zex is like, you idiot, as he just sends her flying he just sends her flying, he pulls her to the ground, he grabs the knife away from her. And you see Zex is getting mad. He's like, you're not the one who needs to die. Ooh. And you see as she goes, she wasn't flying, she goes flipping through the air, kind of slams down onto her neck and falls over. He's like, fell on her head. Is she okay? Might be just the thing to snap her out of it. Oh, and Zex just crushes the sword and goes, it's assholes like you who really piss me off. And Mopon's just going, ha 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 ha, up at the top. As he goes, I've met a lot of petty tyrants in my short life, but this one, why am I so mad? He hasn't insulted me personally. This anger, it's different somehow. Mopon's like, all we can know of reality is the illusion projected on the screen of our minds. Does a common reality even exist? Is your perception of red the same as mine? Or is there even a true reality outside of my mind? And you see Zex just rushing forward as he goes, blah, 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 blah. Who needs this? I'll just destroy you. Mopon goes, what's the rush? A few opening remarks won't kill you. It's like, have it your way. And you see, And you see Zex as he's running. It seems like it's one of those like illusions of like the stretching hallway. He's like, huh? So that's odd. I'm running and running, but I'm not getting any closer. He's like, crap. And as he drops to look back, he sees that he's just run circles around Misha. And he's like, what's up? What's Zex up to? He's racing in circles around the woman he saved. Zex like, what the? And Wopon goes, reality bends around me as a black hole distorts the space around it. The closer you come to me, the more powerless you become. This is the reality distortion field, the core technique of Mesmerian defense. You and every other person believe reality to be immutable, but just take a look down. And Zex looks down, and you see like these ink shadow like tentacles coming up. And he's like, my shadow? So you're not so strong after all. And you see this dark version of Zex starting to come up from below as it goes, you're just an inferior replica, a failure, a relic of the past. The world doesn't need the likes of you. And Zex is like, is that me? And Wopon goes, Mesmer style, dark side of the moon. You may not listen to others, but you can't ignore the voice of your shadow. And the replica goes, you'll never be more than a replica. You can never surpass the real thing. And Zex is like, shut up! He slams his sword down. Push. Ooh, and you see that Zex has actually stabbed himself through the abdomen. And he's like, what am I doing? It's like, I don't believe it. Zex is committing harakiri. Like, what is this? Perhaps he's become aware of the samurai code. Wopon goes, we're in full swing. Time to make this interactive event. The jewel of the Mesmer style. And he goes, Anderson localization. Second. Then you see a foof. It's like, And you see random people in the crowd seemingly starting to combust. It's like, what? The audience are catching fire. It's like, and so are you. It's like, it's only an illusion, Jack. You know how it goes. Mind over matter. Wopon's like, ha ha ha. Do you like my candlelight service? And Zex sort of coughs like, And you see a boosh as a burst of flame comes out. And Zex is like, is this in my mind? Or is it real? It's like, damn, I can't tell anymore. You see, fire alarm, fire alarm. Body's like, this is real, but how is he making people ignite? Only the visible spectrum can pass through the arena shield. Mr. Embody. And you see that his fingers are starting to smoke as well. So he kind of goes in his meditative pose and starts meditating with a And he stops it as he goes, yes, I see. Or rather, here. It was block all sound from the arena. And you see, so you figured it out. You're using ultrasonic waves to place suggestions deep into the minds of the spectators. See, Anderson localization is a phenomenon in which electrons' electromagnetic waves reflect randomly into spatially limited localized states. In this state, electromagnetic waves may be amplified up to 10,000 times the energy of the incident wave. The concept was theorized in 1958 by P.W. Anderson. This causes faint chemical changes in the body which produce electromagnetically random scatterers. Add the electromagnetic waves rife in a man-made environment, an Anderson localization occurs in the body, creating plasma, so that spontaneous combustion, normally a rare occurrence, takes place. Naga goes, "Are you Dr. Gordon?" He goes, "It's exactly as I warned. Now come with me." This guy looks like such a goof. As we get to phase 4, chapter 43, My Son of Chaos. And you see the human psyche is often likened to the ocean, vast and deep beyond measure. The ego, the portion we are aware of, is like a castaway, aimlessly drifting along on a flimsy raft. No one has yet seen the bottom of this sea. Throughout our lives, we suffer droughts, storms, lulls. The first to lay bare the depths of the subconscious, to grasp its laws and control its powers, will conquer the psyche and become a saint. And you see April 9th, ES 582, police interview Karkanos Research Lab. And you have Chief Science Officer, Specialist in Neurophysics and Subneuropsychology, Dr. Gordon Tunn. And you see Examiner, all the other staff rescued with you died mysteriously. You are now the sole survivor. They give him a little glass of something, and his hands are just twitching as he just throws it back. He goes, "It was so horrid. Never in my worst nightmare." And you see Examiner going, "Will you tell us about the events of that day at the lab?" And he goes, "Yes, I'll tell you, though I doubt you'll believe all of it." And you see King Crater, Luna, far side of the moon. The King Crater is a crater measuring 76 kilometers in diameter, 5 degrees north latitude, 120 degrees east longitude. You see March 21st. Within the crater rests Karkanos Lab on the base of Pincers Hill, the day we began the Equinox experiment. Because we selectively bred subjects for genetic and psychological aptitude. We call these children the Jeton series. For our 7th trial, we used Jeton G to conduct sub-psycho diving. We put him in a sensory deprivation tank and employed drugs and electromagnetic waves to induce an altered mental state. And the examiner goes, "And the purpose of this experiment, what was it?" And he goes, "To map the depths of the psyche. This would allow us to gain control of the subconscious. Ultimately, it was our goal to develop an artificial saint. In this age, we can obtain superhuman bodies via cyborg technology, and have even been granted eternal life via Methuselization. But the human psyche, it remains frail and asinine. In essence, man hasn't changed in 1,000 years. This is the unresolved misfortune of mankind. If we can do that, if we can fortify the psyche, create saints ourselves, the infancy of mankind will come to an end." You have hypnotic death, 10,000 meters. And you see, at last, we've hit the bottom of the psychic trench. And you see, hypnotic depth is a scale that objectively expresses the depth of a hypnotic state. The scale has not been standardized, as a variety of scales have been proposed by different researchers. Dr. Gordon's original method has incorporated the metric system into this scale. And you see, but what we found is beyond all our expectations. A new pit dug in deep in the mind, but it can't be. And his assistant goes, "We've linked the bench into the amygdala. What more is there?" And he's like, "Glah!" as his test subject spurts out a little bit of blood. So "We're beyond max pressure. Jeton G's life is in danger." Gordon goes, "Gentlemen, we've entered uncharted territory. It would be a crime against science to end our probe here. We must go on. You see the psychological reef blocking the well's entrance. Remove it with pharmaco-depth charges." It's like, "Yes, sir." And you see more blood coming out of the test subject as he looks in surprise and confusion. Ugh. And you have almost like a Cthulhu kind of thing as you see just this amalgamation of monsters just bursting out of the test tank. And goes, examiner goes, And the monsters that erupted forth, they ate the staff. Gordon's like, no. Now I can see it was but an illusion. Staff appeared as monsters to each other, and so they fought between themselves. Jet and G was most likely the true assailant. Excuse me. Yet I blew up the whole lab to destroy the hell that had come into being. The myths of all great cultures tell of monsters lurking in the depths of the subconscious. This time we may have truly opened the gates to hell. And you see the present day Catherius Onion frames up round 2, match 1, and you see more people just spontaneously combusting as people are trying to put them out or haul them away. You see these flames, we can't stuff them out as they're trying to spray it with fire retardant. And you have Gordon going, reminds me of the lab 9 years ago. When I warned you of this, you told me the magic troops should be wiped out in the prelims. What do you think now? Naga goes, did you bring me here to deliver sarcastic remarks? And Gordon goes, I learned that Jet and G was living under the alias Wopon, and I vowed to kill him. You will help me. Naga goes, Zot rules safeguard participants until they lose. As a chairman, I must not compromise the regulations. Gordon goes, you're the embodiment of order in this world. No room for ambiguity or recklessness. Fine with me. And you see Wopon going, all people should burn. Ha 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 ha. Burn, 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 burn. And as he continues laughing, you see Zexcon checking out the damage as he goes, severed my spinal cord, could barely move my legs. Only I had my quench gun. He goes, wait, I remember the old man going on and on about the polythene gel circulating in the Viceroy body is supposed to maintain constant pressure, but by partially breaking down this constancy, you can create various special effects. You must understand this to correctly apply this technique. And Zex goes, yes, of course. I can attack from here if I use that. Don't know if I can pull it off in my first shot, but it's like, wait, as he just clenches his fist. It's like, is that really him up there? That really distort that distortion field. With all the damage I've got, I won't have a second chance. If I were him, I sure wouldn't stand out there in the open. A trap, is that it? If I stall, his damn Anderson localization will eat me away. Do I take my chances and go for it? So, but wait. I'm always jumping the gun without thinking. Isn't that how I lost to saying? Alita's fighting technique may seem random, but she's always got a strategy. But then again, I'm too stupid to strategize. He's like, oh. As he's coughing, as you see smoke pouring off his body. He's like, oh no, my body's going to combust. What should I do? What should I do? And you see kind of having a light bulb moment as he goes, ching. And he goes, gotcha! As he, what the hell is this? Okay, so basically like fires off his arm, almost like a grappling hook, to the side, off to the area where there's like this giant stone slab. And you see a boom. As Zack is looking, he's like, Jack's like, he strikes at thin air? He's like, what? Both the pyramid and Wopon have disappeared. It's all as if it was always a misty mirage. Only the head of heaps of corpses belonging to the cult's female devotees remain. And you see on the little wall that Zax has just taken Wopon straight through the middle. He's like, oh my! A man has been pierced clean through by the fist of the great Zex. As you think as Wopon's mask helmet falls off. And he's like, how did you know where I was? And Zex goes, this. It's like, I guess you can't fake a reflection in a mirror. As he shows off a little steel plate on his arm showing a reflection of where Wopon was. He's like, I see. I'll look into that. And you see a wham and a quack and a split as Zex reels his arm back in, and Wopon just explodes as Zex reels it in. With a pop and a snick, and he's like, oh, he slams his hand and he's like, I did it. Sticking it out at the 11th hour led to victory. It's like, is this perseverance, Niz? And you see Aga going, watching with the audience. They're like, ooh, Goes, and so it ends. Your concern was unfounded. And Gordon goes, you still don't see. He used a double, nothing more. Aga's like, what? Where is he now? And you see this figure with like a little raincoat on nearby, standing and watching Aga and Gordon. As you see, Zex takes out his foe with a new long-range punch. And the second round goes to the Space Angels. He's like, huh? He's like, hold on a sec. The scoreboard says the match isn't over. It's like, it's not? Oh, boy. And you see Misha waking up with Lord Wopon. And you see Misha, the surviving follower, appears to be on the list of entrants. Rules are rules, but oh, what a cruel judgment we are destined to view today. And Zex kind of just limps over and is just kind of scratching his head as Misha just bows her head and goes, do as you will with me, please. And Zex goes, killing her would be easier than crushing an ant. And you see back with Gordon and Aga as Wopon goes, you two, you can see me, I take it? And Gordon goes, yes, this anti-hypnotic proto-suit makes me impervious to your hypnotic abuse. You best prepare yourself, Jet and G. Our team placed a microcapsule in your body during the Equinox experiment. Were I to press the switch, the lethal dose and the pharmaco-depth charges would kill you. He's like, is that so? And you see an illusion as a bunch of monsters just burst out from underneath his mask. And with a wham, it's him, Gordon, flying backwards. And he's like, how in hell? And he starts clicking on the thing and nothing's happening. And Aga just casually strolls in through the middle and kind of just clasps his hands together in prayer and just dispels all of the illusions as he goes, I will not allow you to alter reality without my consent. And you see a thwap and a scrack as he grabs his head and just twists it around and breaks his neck and drops him to the ground. And Gordon's like, my son of chaos. He's like, my God, my true motive. I see it now. And you see him just crying as he's like cradling his head. He goes, I thought you might be able to break down the barriers of this world and be the one to bring down Embody. That was my secret hope of hopes. And Embody's kind of taken aback by this as Gordon goes, you're not a failure, you're my best work. And he blows his own brains out. And Embody's just watching this silently as Zex comes up and goes, easy, but too easy. Forget this. And he just turns his back on Misha and starts walking away using his sword as this little cane. You have Wii U. It's like, time's up. With a score of 3-1 in this brawl of a second round, the Space Angels take it all as the clock runs out. We get to chapter 44, Point of No Return. We're a little over an hour now, but I think I'll finish this chapter and then call it a day. As you see Alita going into her little mine area, she sees the Nazi whose name I cannot remember for the life of me. As you have, how rare for you to seek me out yourself. And Alita's just staring silently as he goes, so now you know who you were and what you did. Were the revelations enough? Were you able to be a normal person? Alita kind of bows her head a little and goes, I'm not sure. Yoko was a child. She didn't know any better. But in her struggle to live, she was just doing her best. And he goes, the pure of heart can be even worse than fools. They can massacre 100,000 people without turning a hair. Excuse me. And Alita goes, it was a war. It's over. I was tried, paid the price. And he goes, is that how you see it? What a splendid way to justify the slaughter of those you've never met. It was a war. Yes, and I'll bet you have no alternative but to follow orders, right? A slave to the whims of war. And he stands up with a tump and is like, isn't it time you cease this mad rush forward? And he goes to the bookshelf nearby, grabs a tome and tosses it to her. As he goes, a bit of advice, my dear pupil. Go back where you belong. And he was like, back? Where? It was before you've gone too far. Go back to the people who welcome you with open arms. And he tosses her a book called My Memories. And when she opens it, she sees Figure and Ito. And he goes, even if you are a war criminal or a dropout who quit before meeting her goals, these people won't judge you. And she goes, yes, that would be nice. Forget everything and live that way. And she plans a kiss on Figure's photo, and she goes, but I can only stumble forward. I'm so graceless that way. I'm sorry, Figure. And he just grins as he goes, are you sure? This is the point of no return for you. If you keep going, you will face yet another cruel fate, one which will change you heart and soul. Then there will be no home left for you forever. Well, he slams the book down. Well, shut up! I won't be misled by your words anymore. You're neither a spirit nor the devil. You're just a shadow created by my feeble mind. He goes, such a desperate attempt to rationalize all this. So now it's Jung, is it? Is Carl Gustav Jung is a Swiss psychiatrist, 1875 to 1961, who originally was in agreement with Freudian psychoanalysis, but slid off to found his own school of psychology. The shadow is a key concept in Jungian psychology. And he goes, very well, then I'll be off for now, but we shall meet again. For no matter how strong you may become, I will always be near. Brute force is no match for the depths of the psyche. And you see in the central core block, Alita's kind of groggily coming awake as you hear Kathiri's central core block enclosure recesses. It's like, hey, you awake? Ping's like, how are your eyes? Alita's like, everything's fine, so how's the Zot match going? And Ping reports, over and done. They won. Fire in the stands of some chaos. Alita's like, the others are hard at work. Good. She goes up to the main terminal and goes, looks like I can use this terminal. God, Jesus, covered in frost. It's like, yeah, well, no one's touched this place in over 100 years. Ping's like, here we go. We're about to dive into Malachi. And you see, Prof, you all set? It's like, indeed, this is better than a bucket of flan. It's like, and you, Kale? It's like, you know me, boss. I'm raring to go as usual. And Ping's like, Alita. He's like, you mean I have to go too? It's like, darn. Ping's like, well, of course you do. How else are we going to identify Lou? It's like, if you say so. It's like, now, plug the hollow mem chip in for me. And Alita's about to put it in. She stops and goes, Ping, promise me one thing, okay? He's like, huh? Now? She goes, what we're about to do, it won't destroy Malachi, will it? He's like, don't be an idiot. Come on, just do it. He's like, I've got to know. I won't let my naivete result in the death of many. I can't repeat the same mistake, not like before. Ping goes, all we're doing is some petty larceny, okay? This is barely even a rescue mission. More like a kidnapping, if you ask me. Either way, it's too late for talk about right and wrong. And Alita's like, all I want is to save Lou. Can't you see? I don't want to involve anyone else. And Ping's getting mad as he goes, fine, Alita, then give it up. We can't do this if you're not ready to be the bad guy. And you have Destiny going, now, calm down, you two. It's like, Alita, we've no reason to think this will lead to massive fatalities like the Kamlan debacle. For now. Of course, the fault of Carnage World is, well, to make a long story short, we won't know the results until we try. So let's give it a go. Like, if I want to be a goody two-shoes, go hole up in a room forever. It's like, boy, does he know about that. And you have Alita going, this is it then, the point of no return. Destiny just goes, Alita, it is within the providence of nature itself. The very act of living and doing is ripe with evil. And you see the little fly he's taking a bite out of, has evil embossed on it. He goes, if you cannot accept this fact, the world is impossible to live in, as it is for poets. Of course, with your long record of combat, anything I might add would be like teaching a fish to swim. Alita's like, I see what you mean. All right, it was wishful thinking. Like, besides, trading in human brains for Nova's biochips is practically cause for the world's destruction anyway. And Ping's like, hoo boy. And Alita goes, this isn't the same as 200 years ago. It's my will this time. That's reason enough. And she pops in and goes, let's jack in. And you see her going all Cybertronic as she gets into the computer's mainframe. And she's like, Ping, where are you? He's like, don't panic, Alita. And you see him showing up just on a spaceship. As he goes, we're right here. There's nothing to be afraid of. He's like, I'm here too. Yeah. Like, so, this is what it's like inside? The kind of what you're seeing is a representation of Camelot, the network shell that compromises Malachi to be precise. Camelot consists of 25 main units, each with a different function as well as countless subroutine programs. The sectors of Camelot were named after the Knights of the Round Table. The self-destruct unit Mordred was activated in the attack 200 years ago. Arthur, the unifying unit, was lost. So that's where the name Camland came from, just like in the story. So you see the Knights of the Round Table were the knights who were qualified to sit at the Round Table in England's Legend of King Arthur. Though there are various theories as to the number of knights seated at the Round Table, we've decided to use the number 25 based on the Round Table left at Winchester Castle. And you see Camland is the site where King Arthur and Mordred's final battle took place. Alita's like, can one of you fill me in? It's like basically a maze that was terribly complex to begin with, was further scrambled thanks to a certain someone. And he's giving Alita a look. She's like, I'm sorry. And he goes, now Camelot's like the strewn pieces of a jigsaw puzzle. Federation engineers have been trying to restore it for 200 years, to no avail. And no wonder they've been missing a vital piece all along. That would be Morgan Le Fay, the Fata Morgana. It's like, yes, that's it. And you see Alita going, why was something that important Cerula's possession? And you see begin extraction as they shoot out this beam. He's like, what is it? It's like, don't panic. Some kind of gate opened. We've jumped into an old domain. And you see this all ass looking geezer thing, which I'm guessing is going to be Merlin. Yep. It's like a stone image? It's like the icon of Merlin, prototype of all the other units. This is the first time I've gained direct access to it. It's like, won't bite, will it? It's like, nah, it ceased functioning before the orbital elevator was built. Surprised it still exists. It's like, we can't waste time looking at old relics. It's like, wait a sec. If we take this old path in, we may reach the incubator block with no antibody resistance. It's like, let's give it a try. And you see them zapping inside Merlin's brain, and you see these lights just flashing out of his eyes. As you see, what's this? A screen of static? No, is it snow? You see, yes, I think that's Cerula standing in a snowstorm. As we get to chapter 45, I'm so tempted. You know what? I have to go on to it. I cannot stop after seeing Cerula. That's just mean. And you have Era Sputnik 55, who was the largest solar flare ever recorded, a magnetic superstorm that washed over Earth, paralyzing most electrical instruments, and it was not long after, as you see chapter 45, Impact Winter, that an asteroid with an estimated diameter of 14 kilometers smashed into the Far East along with multiple fragments dislodged by the atmosphere on entry. The impact shook the planet, blew away the ozone layer, and even tilted the Earth's axis. The colossal tsunami that came next raged hundreds of kilometers inland. The vast meteor, later named Ixchel, carved out a giant crater 230 kilometers in diameter. Ixchel is a Mayan mythology goddess and the wife of the supreme deity Itzamna. She is the goddess of storms and floods. She is at times depicted as an old woman with sharp I think that's supposed to say claws, not clouds, and called the fearsome crone, and kicked massive amounts of dust into the stratosphere. Thick clouds encompassed the entire planet, and soon the Earth froze over. No one had seen such snow. Winter had come. The long, cold, impact winter. You see 10 years later, Statue of Liberty, completely iced and frozen over and tilted to the side. As you see this dark-haired person climb to the summit, going, I have come. Like a white skull washed of its putrid flesh, the view of the fallen city is beautiful. Dost thou agree, Vilma, my love? As you see this guy, and you see, second, Oh boy. Yes, but I also liked how the city lights used to twinkle in the night before. And you see Vilma Fakiri, later known as Srula Sangui, as the mysterious guy goes, "Heh, no more. Those lights will ne'er return. 'Tis hopeless." And you see someone just covered in bandages going, the view never fed no one. Hey, boss, we'll find food in this land, won't we? And you see another one with scars above his eyes and a bandage taped around his eyes, going, seems like that won't be an issue. And you see another one with his jagged teeth like a cowboy aesthetic, getting ready. As he goes, hey, yep, these parts are swarming with survivors. And you see him shouting off the shot to the south, blam, and a gah! And someone falls out. You rock and a woo. Like, cut your hollering and bring it on. And you see, it was our first battle on the new continent, though it was more of a one-sided slaughter, if you ask me. Regardless, my cheeks were flushed with delight at such carnage. This was proof that we were still surviving on this planet. The gunman goes, my ammo run dry. He goes, hey, is there a gun shop buried around here? Police station will do. And you see that the people they just killed are completely out of their minds. And they go, Feh, can't talk no more. And you see, what is it? Vilma going, get over the guns, Jocko. Ammo froze open for 10 years won't do you any good. Jocko's like, let me be. And you see, let us feast on this bounty all. And you see, blah, 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 blood! It's been so long since I had human blood. And you see them just running on, just starting to devour all the people they just killed. And you see, we are here. This land is now the domain of the cognate. As he just feasting on bodies. And you see, my name is Vilma Fakiri. I was born at Erdely in 1808 AD during the Habsburg monarchy. And you see the Hungarian word for Transylvania is Erdely. And Vilma continues, from the day my fate was sealed as cognate, what humans spitefully call vampires, I left my homeland, roaming strange lands alone and beholden to no one, until I lost myself to this man, Victor Byron, the leader of the cognate, the only man I've ever loved. I saw the world with him as his wife, and came to believe that the age of the cognate was here at last. And you have 4 cold years came and went. And you see her going, I came upon a group of mutants while off my own. It's like I had been careless. And you see her just kind of going over this cliff. She's fighting with them. And you see, woo, as a mysterious figure comes upon her frozen corpse. And they kind of pick her up and drag her off. The shao. It's like I hear the sound of a guitar. And you see, and you see this scruffy looking little blonde woman sitting next to her playing guitar as you see her being bandaged up in this bunk. It's like, was I too loud? Vilma's like, no, do go on. It's like, it had been years since I'd heard a guitar. She goes, you are? It's like, my name's John, I'm 13. It's like, he was born after the catastrophe. John's young fingers were clumsy, but his tunes stirred my soul more than any master's performance. And you see a tear trickling down her eye. She's watching this. And you see, it's like, very good. You'll be up and about in no time at all. See, John's father, my God, Colin Farrell tended to my wounds. And he goes, you aren't a normal human, are you? And she looks surprised and goes, hey, indeed I am not. I am cognate, natural enemy to humans. Go on, kill me. Do it while I can't move. And he goes, kill you. Don't be a fool. Fellow humans, survivors of our global catastrophe, should help each other. And he's like, human? I'm a vampire, not a human. And he's like, you're a vampire? Then can you transform into a bat? Or get burned by a cross? Sunlight, does it turn you into ash? He's like, what a load of superstitious bunk. It was before the catastrophe, I was a lowly scientist. Biology wasn't my field, but I'd guess that a rare virus causes change to your DNA. You're human, just like me. He takes a spoon of some kind of liquid and tries to feed her. She looks away. And you see about 60 people lived in their underground shelter. Methane gas was extracted from waste to generate electricity, and they cultivated crops to sustain themselves. All this was designed by Colin Farrell. He's like, give it a taste for me as he pours her a drink. And she's like, it's white wine. And he goes, it's not Bordeaux, but not bad for a prototype, eh? She goes, it came as a shock to me just how much I'd grown to depend on the culture of the humans. I hated them, but you never know what something means to you until you lose it. She goes, I was also interested in the education of their children. The theory of relativity, quantum mechanics, why teach such things in this age? And Colin goes, precisely because of this age. The technological accomplishments of our forefathers cannot be consigned to oblivion. My plan is to teach everything I know to my son. This harsh winter will someday end and spring will come. In a few years or a few hundred, but it will come. Excuse me. Vilma goes, you believe that civilization will return to the way it was? I must say, while I admire your leadership, your efforts to keep civilization alive, you can't know how deeply we, the cognate, were made to suffer in the shadows of human culture's glory. She goes, those times I don't want ever again. And you see, once my wounds healed, I wished to return to my comrades. Victor, I knew, would be terribly worried about me. The humans met to decide what to do. Many of the men said it was a danger to release me because others would learn of their shelter. They had every right to their misgivings. But indebted to them for life, I'd begun to feel an affinity toward these people. Was there a way to resolve this amicably? Colin goes, let us make peace with Byron and his men. They have, As if one day we'll have to rise to the surface. Let's work with them and ride out this difficult time. We cannot hide forever. He's like, I'd like you, Vilma, to be our emissary of peace. And she smiles as she likes this idea. Now she's leaving. John comes running up and goes, no, wait, Vilma, don't go. I like you. Please stay here with me. You can live with us. You don't have to leave. I'll let you suck my blood when you get hungry. And she kind of pats him on the head and goes, I like you too, John. Wait for me. I'll be back with good news. Just wait. I look forward to hearing your guitar again. And to chapter 46, I believe he felt the same. And it's almost reached an hour and a half, so I'll cut it off there. And then some quick thoughts before I wrap this up. We're finally getting to this real backstory, so I can't wait. I can already feel like this is going to rip my heart out and just like stomp on all the emotions I'm going to feel. So I'm excited for that. I'll admit at first I was a little bit thrown off or confused by why there was so much attention towards kind of like the Starship cult and Strongfoot, like giving them the backstory and like talking about Wopon and all those things. I still don't know if I fully get what the reason was for spending so much time on these characters and their backstories and their powers and things like that. I get kind of why talking about it, like maybe it's going to tie into this larger theme of kind of order versus chaos and like which force is the most prominent, like which ones are humans kind of, ruled by. This is kind of the debate about like, are my actions the result of choices I consciously made, and everything that's led up to this point? Or is the world just random and pointless and unpredictable, and I'm not really fully in control of or responsible for my actions? So that kind of idea, I guess it's an interesting way to kind of explore it with, the aspect of psychology and how it plays into that. But I think I'll need a little bit more information or backstory about that stuff before I kind of firmly land in any kind of camp of, no, this wasn't pointless, we didn't really need it, or this was necessary, some kind of future development. So for right now, I'm gonna put a pin in that and wait to see how that plays out further before kind of passing judgment on it. Apart from that, Zex continues to grow on me, and he's definitely becoming one of my favorite characters in Alita. And I like how a lot of his personality growth and change is kind of going through this idea of like him developing, a warrior's honor and pride and things like that, and doing things, doing things honorably and kind of fighting back and against injustice and stuff like that. So I can't wait to see more of Zex's kind of growth and development in that area. And I'm also interested in like what shape Alita's kind of arc is going to take, because it almost seems like the story is leaning towards Alita kind of trying to seek redemption for all the things that she's done in her past that she kind of forgot about, and that she's slowly learning to come to terms with, and kind of learning how to make amends for things she'd done that she's either forgotten about or other things that kind of happened. And it's interesting because they also bring up like the child soldier angle with her specifically. Like she was a child soldier, so how much of that should be taken into consideration when deciding or considering whether to absolve her, of all these atrocities and all these crimes she committed when she was a part of these older groups. So I'm interested in what answer, if any, the series is going to kind of give to that specifically. So yeah, so I'd say like a majority of this was like, yeah, it was enjoyable, but not like my favorite plot stuff thus far. Whereas more of the Cerullo stuff at the end was something that I found more engaging than the other bits. But we're only about a third of the way into Volume 3, so I expect that there will be more of that and more stuff to come that I'll probably find likable. And Jan commented, even if I make the whole world my enemy, I will never give up on myself. I love Alita. Yes, I do really love that moment. And I do agree with Alita being like, I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this properly. But I like how that kind of ties into this idea of Alita's redemption, where she's like, the other people may, disdain me, dislike me, or want me to give up, but I have to kind of keep moving forward and do the best I can, and that's really all that I can do, because no one else is gonna believe in me as much as I do, and kind of like this idea of self-love and acceptance and things like that. I really like those aspects of it. I hope we get to explore that in a little bit more detail now that Alita's kind of finally learned a little bit more about her past and how she ended up where she did. But yeah, the character work in Last Order is absolutely phenomenal. I think it's a lot better than what was done in the original series. So I really can't wait to see where all these characters will develop and grow and all that. So with that said, I'll probably put out a channel update later this week once I kind of once I figure out what series I'm going to react to, what I have to cover, all those things like that. So now that I am back like off hiatus, I shouldn't be too much longer before I dive back into Alita again. I'm not sure it's going to be either tomorrow or Wednesday that the next read through will drop, but it will be relatively quickly because I want to get through this series as quickly as I can. So until next time, this is Ash. Talk to you all later.